You're going to set up. Okay. All right. So we are here with Andrea Theis. Thank you for coming in. And Andrea and I started a children's museum together. Oh boy. And she's now in education and in rowing. So I'm going to turn it right over to Andrea here.
Okay, well, thank you, Erin. So I want to just first start off with just making some thank yous and acknowledgments. I want to thank you, Erin, and the Teacher Resource Center for making this opportunity available, reaching out to teachers to share ideas, and then those of you who were able to come, and anyone who's able to pop into this or view this later, thank you for coming. I also want to thank some people that have been involved in my development. I'm here to talk to you about rowing. I have a background in education as well. I taught in the public schools in New York in the last five and a half years, in Charlotte Valley and in Milford for 1 year. And prior to that, I was a middle school teacher. So I taught math and high school math. And prior to that, middle school teacher in Massachusetts for 4 years, teaching sixth grade English and math. And throughout that time, I have been involved in rowing. Rowing was a sport that I entered into in college. So I want to just, thank. There's a lot of people along the way that get you to where you are, and it's a team effort. And so just to mention that there are people in my school and graduate school program who helped me along the way, and then even at the beginning of where I got started, just the very first person that introduced me to the idea of rowing, or there's a lot of ways we get started. So just want to put that out there. And Otsego Area Rowing is my rowing club. It's a club that I started with other people together in Cooperstown, and they help bring a lot of these ideas to fruition, which I'm going to share with you today. The ideas are not my own. They're not brand new to me. I'm referencing curriculum that other people have developed. There's resources out there through a lot of different programs. So some of the materials I'm sharing are going to come from different places. A lot of the images come from my rowing club, and you can see in the background already one of the photos of Lake Otsego. It's beautiful. We captured a wonderful photo of two of the high schoolers rowing in a double with a rainbow in the background. Pretty amazing. So as we go, I'll bring up some of the acknowledgments so that you will know where to look for things. So school-based rowing curriculum, I want to share with you some background and how and why this might be possible in your school or why you should do it. So I guess if we advance to the next slide and kind of go through like a little outline for what we're going to do. Next slide.
Let's do it the other way.
Oh, mini. Okay. So what I want to just share a few things. Number one is to teach you or talk to you about how a non-athlete became Olympian. I was not an athlete in high school. I did not identify as an athlete until I got to college. So I'll talk a little bit about that. I want to get into some of the health and fitness benefits of rowing. There are many, and the lifelong benefits of rowing, and introduce you to some people who are benefiting from it. So I have some photos of them, and rowing is really a sport for everybody, and that's something I want to emphasize that's really unique. And there's many events in which you have different levels of ability competing in the same event, actual competitions, and just how it brings community together, and then how we can do this in the school and in the classroom. So the starter photo, so just my background, I started rowing in college at Cornell. I went to Cornell, and I went into college not having any intention to participate in a sport. Never thought of myself as an athlete in high school. In gym class in high school, I was the kid that would go and sit in the back of the field when there was baseball, any ball sports. hidden away. A lot of times I'd sneak off and like find something else, somewhere else to entertain myself. So I was very shy as well. I think some of that shyness I addressed when I got a little later in high school. I decided, well, it's worse not knowing things, not knowing if you can do something at all, than not trying at all. So when I got to college, I was introduced to the opportunity. People actually said, "Would you like to row?" And the first thing I told them was, "No, thanks." Oh, there's someone coming in. All right.
Yeah.
So if you want to advance to the next slide, I'll show you. So I'm able to what? Hit this little button?
Yep. No, try the other one. Try the other. Nope, it's not working.
Welcome, Monica.
Hello, how are you?
Great, thank you for coming. So we're just starting off talking a little bit of the background that brought me into rowing. And here you see me at the 1996 Olympics. A lot of steps happened before getting there. And the first one was that I had never heard of rowing before I got to college. I had never considered myself a high performance athlete in high school. And I think I just gave rowing a try because I thought, well, everyone else who showed up to the program never had done it before. And that was an interesting kind of feature that's changed a little bit now since I first started to row. There are more people who had experience in high school, but it kind of put me on the same playing field. And I thought, well, I was actually up against all these other folks who had competed in other sports like volleyball and lacrosse. Many of my teammates who I continued with for 4 years, track. They were all very good at their sport, but maybe not NCAA Division I quality. And we all got approached to row. And I think just being given an invitation is a really key thing. It's that somebody wants you. It's really key. So then I found myself really passionate and enjoying the sport. I wasn't very good at it when I started. I was in the lowest level. I was like one of the last people cut from the program. They had cut us down from like 150 people who started off to 20. So I was still in the top people. But I am currently in this picture. That's correct. I'm in the last one in the boat there. And throughout the experience, in 1996, I made it to that team. In 1992, I was also on the Olympic team, but I was the alternate. I had been chosen to the boat, got sick, taken out, was heartbroken, felt really sorry for myself, but it takes a lot of time and commitment to train, and I wasn't going to do it again, and I did decide to do it again. So I came through. How do I do it?
Scroll down, I think.
Oh, this.
The mouse.
Okay.
Whoop.
Oh, sorry. You didn't give me advice and then show me how to use it before we get started.
Alright. Let's see.
You should have practiced that.
Oh, where did it go? Oh, there we go.
Okay.
So yeah, pull down on the mouse wheel and just scroll down.
Scroll down. All right.
There we go.
So, pretty cool opportunities when you are on the Olympic team. In 1992, I got a chance to meet President Bush and the First Lady, and it was pretty fantastic, I will say. So,
yeah, because I get to do that all the time.
Yeah, it's as exciting as you can imagine, and then multiply that by 50. Being at that venue, everything is done really well and at the top notch. Everyone there is really happy to be there. I will, one thing I learned meeting the president, when I went into this first president meeting, I thought, oh, what can I say that's so clever? And I was like racking my brain, I should be saying something clever. And then I didn't come up with anything. I kind of went through, and there was like food at the other end, and it was just like heading for that. And I realized afterwards, I never said thank you. And so I was determined when I met the second time I went to the White House. Those were the clever words I used. Wow. I had nothing significant to say other than thank you very much for doing this and making your time available. And I also met the First Lady at the time. They took 7 pictures with us. So this is the Olympic team. This is the entire team of all athletes who came at the White House, and it was pretty fantastic. The rowers are actually down here at the bottom, a lot of us. Right here, you can see this is that little dream team, gymnastics team right here from 1996. I don't know if you've heard of them. Hi, come on in. And I do continue the sport through today. It was definitely a life-changing opportunity. I don't think just because I was very good at it, it brought me into a community, and why I'm so passionate about it now, and why I feel that it's important to bring into schools and share with other people is because of that community and being someone who didn't have an affinity to sports. The sports that were presented to me in school prior, I didn't necessarily feel that I was good enough, and then somehow this became one that I found. So opening up doors. Now, as an adult, or when I got to graduate school, I recall then trying other sports. I actually tried basketball. I tried softball. And it's funny, I had to get on the water first and try a different sport before I was willing to try others. So I have a photo here at the bottom of me and my college rowing team. I rowed it in 8, and we did win the national championships that year, my senior year. So this is our boat. I am rowing with, I'd say 5 or 6 of those people I will be seeing this weekend in racing again.
I know Robin. Make sure you say hi to her in the orange.
Robin, yeah. And
yes.
So, yeah, let's move that picture away, and so we can show another team that I feel really passionate about is programming through EDD, the EDD Adaptive Sport Network. And what I love about this feeling of team is these members, and you see here, and Robin's one of the athletes on the screen here. They're as important of a team to me as my college team and many of the others. I feel that being together, watching, I learned so much. And Robin is one person in particular. She's in the orange. She's been rowing for the last 5 years at least. And I learned so much from her. Such a great attitude, teamwork. Cool. She's so supportive of other people. And she's gotten to the point where I actually could ask her to teach people for me. Like she could just be my assistant, cool. Honestly. So
that's Nick McKighton, right?
Yeah, and so what you see in this photo too is just individuals who have different physical abilities, body types, and we can be in a boat together. We can be on a team together, and we can all benefit. So what rowing can bring, and you can be on the water, you can be on the land. And these are, again, actually photos you see of Robin participating. And it brings you, whether you're on the water, you feel a little bit more of that gliding motion, but this is true in the case of being on land on the rowing machine. That smooth gliding motion gives you freedom of movement, and it also gives a sense of calm and therapy, the therapeutic kind of aspect of just a rhythmic motion is very valuable. Let's see. That rhythmic motion is valuable, and the freedom of movement is important. So I want to introduce you to the athlete that's sitting in the boat with me here. Her name is Diana. She's an adult professional at SUNY. She teaches, or actually she's a computer scientist. On land, she walks with crutches. She has cerebral palsy. And she may not look the most fluid in her walking movement. She's very strong. In this case, in this boat, which is set up to be more stable itself, and I have pontoons on it, I was able to set up a situation where she's rowing with just one oar on one side of her body, and she has this was just a big breakthrough. Most fluid stroke. It looked beautiful, and she loved it. And the smile on her face. I mean, she's been sticking with rowing for a while. It can be challenging to get there, to get into the boat, but once you're on the water and you push off, then you've got this opportunity to feel like you're gliding along, and some of the barriers of movement are taken away. Here's another demonstration. And it depends, again, on what you can do, the changes you can make. Not everything is going to be the same, but it's very adaptable. We adapt the equipment to the athlete. We don't expect the athlete necessarily to adapt to the equipment. We're able to make it so that it can function for them. And so the types of things that I have through that Otsego area rowing, again, we're rowing here on Lake Otsego. The event that you have here was one in which I did with the gym, and I have the rowing machines in the background.
They can't see that part.
Oh, they can. Okay, great. So we're here and we're seeing that, and anyone's participating in this program right now, if you're a PE teacher, you know very well sport, the values of sports and athletics, but also belonging, a sense of belonging, being part of a program. And that's, again, what motivates me so much and why I enjoy working with all different people. It's not just the highest level elite performers. I get as much satisfaction from working with groups where I can bring people together and they see themselves as part of something, and I'm part of it, and that's what brings me happiness, but it improves motivation and happiness and overall health. And just one experience can do that for someone, to open the door to them to seek further experiences. And you see it also in rowing at a very unique way. In this picture, notice you've got teenagers and you've got adults here. At this particular race, the head of the Hudson, it just happened a couple of weeks ago. Everybody was racing in the same events, one after the other. So you can go to rowing events and you'll have individuals who are perhaps training for the national team, and also individuals who are masters or people, working who are not training for anything in particular, but just doing it for fun. You'll have juniors, high schoolers, and you'll have inclusion, people who are adaptive, and they're all at the same venue. You see them all. I don't really know of too many other sports. I can't think of one where that happens on a regular basis. This weekend, I'm going to an event in Boston. It's called the Head of the Charles, and you will see Olympic champions racing. You will see 86-year-olds racing. You will see colleges racing, high schools, top performers in those events. You'll see community rowing happening, and you'll see para and inclusion rowing happening. And it also is a very efficient way to exercise, because you're building strength, you're building endurance and flexibility through the sport. And the motion on the rowing machine is very similar to what you do in the water. It simplifies things. You don't have to have balance necessarily and that type of thing. But this is you can get a lot of good hard work in, and in a very short amount of time, you can cover your components of fitness. Again, you see here in this photo 2 high schoolers, and then you've got 4 masters athletes, all of different ages, ranging, from in their 30s up to their 70s, all rowing together. And there are events that you can do with youth and that they really love. So this is a combined program, and I'm going to credit CRI, which is a club in Boston, huge program which has programming for every age and every skill set, from children with disabilities all the way through to people training for the Olympics. And they're all in one building. Oops. Okay, let's go. So I also reference another event. So here I want to demonstrate that this is a sport that brings athletes of any ability together, and they can perform at high levels. The young woman on the right, she was on the 2019 World Championship team. She did not go to with the Olympics canceled. She's actually moved to sled hockey and trying sled hockey now and trying out for the Olympics, but she may come back to rowing as well. And she rows with her upper body and her arms. And the woman on the left, a young lady on the left, she also is rowing with her arms primarily. She has a chest strap. I'm going to show you one of those pieces of equipment in a minute, in a little bit, when we go outside to look at some of the equipment. You can get the exercise that you get from this, the ability to build your physiology is amazing. And you don't have to keep up with everybody running around on the field. You are doing it side by side on the machine. They have also at a variety of levels, there's a lot of adaptive equipment. This young lady has some mittens on her hands that help her grip because she might have a limitation in gripping, as well as holding her body posture. And they've even have, and I don't have photos of this, but something called FES, which is stimulation with electrical stimulation and health benefits that are brought to people whose muscles can then still benefit, even though they may not be able to engage them on their own. And those events are held as well. Those are opportunities that are held. I'm sorry. So it brings that competition, that pleasure of sport to all levels, and you have that. We bring sport to all populations already. I know that. But what I find is remarkable at an event like this. This is called the Crash Beads. This was the Indoor World Championships, and that event again hosts people of all different levels, and they're at the same place, which is remarkable that you can sit there, and it's a huge venue that they do that in. So finally, here's a beautiful photo of the Lake Otsego, where we do the rowing. Pretty remarkable. The woman in this boat is, her name is Sarah Fraser Kim. She is a para-athlete who is a hopeful for the Olympics. She's above the knee amputee, and she was a veteran. And there's opportunities as well for that idea of resiliency, recovery, renewal. Rowing has been a big part of some PTSD recovery, trauma recovery, at the adult level, also substance abuse and a variety of physical disabilities. But this is shown to be proven to be something that can really bring people together and give them a connection where they might not otherwise have thought of themselves as having a way in. And that's why I work really hard to make it happen. It's also a sport for a lifetime. This gentleman here next to me, his name is Lang, and he's 86 years old, and we row together, and we are racing this weekend at the head of the Charles. We're racing a 3-mile, highly competitive event, and it's something, that, again, you can continue through your life. So when you are introducing the sport, this may not be to say to someone, I'm not trying to just train people to go to college and row or to make a national team. Just to introduce them to an idea that there's something out there, and maybe by doing it, it opens up doors for you to try something else. Maybe one day you'll get an opportunity to row again, and you'll know a little bit more about it. You'll walk into a club and there's a rowing machine, and you'll know how to use it properly. A lot of people are out there not using it properly, for sure, but you'll use it, and you might be able to find benefit. That to me is the goal. And for me, I will row with this gentleman Lang for as long as he allows me to do it, because I get so much out of it. I personally benefit so much from rowing and being part of the programs that I work with. So really, I want to just recap. Why is it good for your school? And why bring it into schools? The machines themselves are transportable and mobile and easy to store, and the mechanics of rowing are relatively easy to grasp. It's low impact. So for someone who running and other sports are more challenging, it is an entry point. And weight-bearing activities, rowing is more forgiving for body weight, actually. And I know, and I relate very well to this, because someone who didn't view themselves as an athlete, and I was afraid of all the other ball sports, it's just shy and afraid to not be successful. There is a way of bringing that in. Vision, also. Poor vision, eye coordination, you can be highly successful in rowing, and there's a category for that at the Olympics as well. The classification allows for that. And it's showing that it helps some kids to focus, and I think kids do enjoy it. They gravitated to it very naturally. It doesn't take a lot to teach them how to, a kid at least, how to go on a machine. The less you tell them, the better. And just honestly, yeah. And for PE, there is available just on the internet. There's available curriculum, and you can work with up to 4 weeks of lesson plans that are targeted toward the PE standards. And I took a look in what New York State matches with the basic standards of them. And there is curriculum for grades 2 to 5, 6 to 8, and 9 to 12. And there's the teachers and students together can learn the technique and the terminology, how to set it up and be safe about it. I would be, obviously having someone with some background is helpful, and so that's where I come into the picture and helping people. And with it, in the process of doing this, you learn about intensity and pushing yourself. You learn about heart rate. You learn about physiology and the biomechanics of movement. And it's a very good way of doing that. And goal setting and growth mindset activities are excellent in this. The performance monitor, and I'll show you one in a moment, gives you feedback. It gives you numbers and information that you can translate. And there is curriculum out there. This group, it's actually Tulsa, Oklahoma. They have created a rowing STEM program, using the rowing machines, where they do all kinds of stuff that's can be very as advanced as you'd like, but investigating force curves. The idea of the time and distance graphs are very math oriented, I would say, and science oriented, but it could be a fun exploration where the kids are doing this and seeing directly the results for it. Accuracy versus precision, scatter plots, kinetic energy problems. There can be it's a pretty unique way of looking at it and making it more relevant to the students. So I have information on this with how to reach me, and also links to Otsego Area Rowing, the website. It is in Cooperstown. And so I'd like to take questions and also take the time, we'll have a little bit of time to go look at the machine, and I'll show you how to set it up and look at it, just movement on it. But for those who are here or anyone have a question, just go up. Aaron, do you want to tell all the people that are here? Here. So the machine that I'll show you, I have one that I brought. Oftentimes people ask about, how to get the machines, where to get them, and that's something we've been talking with the Teacher Resource Center here about perhaps creating a lending closet or a library of equipment. My rowing club has equipment that we've been trying to build, and we want to create programs. So to bring it into classrooms, that would be a possibility.
But how did the PE person or students go about getting started?
Well, I think, I can definitely help you get started. There are resources online, but you need the equipment. You need the rowing machine and things and guidance, and I think that's what the Teacher Resource Center is talking about, perhaps setting up a way for us to do that. But reaching out to me and having us come in.
Monica, would you be interested in having Andrea come to your school if that was available to you?
Yeah, of course.
So
I know, Andrea, have you met the Kennedys? I know.
Oh,
I feel like it was, whether it was pre-COVID, I know Creighton Williams Rose, I have quite a few, being that we're in Cooperstown. And I would love even, if we did this in class and then have a culminating activity where we actually went to the lake. And
I would love it.
Yes, I could definitely see that as a potential.
Yes, for schools that are closer to Cooperstown, and that's where the rowing club is, that makes it easier for access to the lake. For programs that don't have access to water immediately or farther away, that doesn't mean you can't do it. A lot of programs run rowing just through the rowing machine, or that doesn't mean we can't find rowing opportunities closer to someone. And what is fantastic too is once you get it going, I want to create like these kind of ideas of culminating opportunities where a bunch of, once kids have learned how to row, then why not have like a whole kind of like a full-on district, like get everyone together, have a venue and have kids come.
I'd be all into that.
Yeah.
So Monica, what does it take for you to get something like this started at your school? Do you need Andrea to come out, or?
Yeah, that would be great. I'm just trying to think, like, it would be awesome. I'm just visualizing in my head. When we have yoga instructors or people come in, a lot of times we'll use the wrestling room facility, or we can even block, that facility. I'm picturing rowing machines, like if we were able, I don't know how many we would have access to. I know right now we currently have 2 in our fitness center. And if we were able to add more, it's not something like storage wise, that would be. So what are you thinking for a unit wise? Like how many?
So
we see kids every other day. Normally our units are 5 weeks and would go 10 classes. But also maybe introducing stuff, I might go 2 weeks with something just to give kids a idea of it. And then, but what do you think?
Well, I've done it in the schools that I've been teaching, and the way that the PE teacher that my colleague often was just sort of squeezing it in between things, and it would be like a week. But I like the idea of like a 2-week or longer program. It allows you to do more with it and actually get into some of the physiology and biomechanics and a better understanding, and actually have the kids experiment just with their own bodies about like what does it mean to if I do one type of work versus another. So I see it as something where we would help you get machines. You can do it depending on the size, tailored to the size of the class. But I've brought in 5 machines for a group of 16 to 20 kids, and then group them together and have them watch each other too. So somebody would be rowing, some other people are providing feedback. It works very well, and it also builds that team aspect as well. You're asking them to look for technical components, so you're able to put in a lot. Like you're covering components, like what's the important terminology, what is the proper way of body movement, and then the athletes, the students themselves, are also demonstrating, and you're able to kind of get that assessment piece in there too. So a 2 to 3 week kind of time frame would be great, and I think it's something we can play with and work off of, and kind of like test out. Everyone enjoyed like that 1 week kind of drop in and just like a one-time event, but I would love to see it to build more to that, and the culminating piece of getting a chance to get on the water is always great. Yeah. And so that's something that can be done.
So I'm trying to think from a financial side how we would pay her. Do you know if your district would have any ability to cover a part of her costs?
I have no idea. I'd have to look into that, and I would need to know costs too.
Yeah. I would have to pass things by my board, of course, but I almost would like to see something like we would do, like pay a week if the district would pay a week or something. And I don't know. I don't know if the district would do such a thing. I don't know. We want to support the whole thing, but I know that we can't support Andrea for every district, right? So that's kind of some things that we have to kind of figure out how to do.
I mean, what I would say to that too, Erin, is, if out of this workshop you have, I don't know, X number of school districts and you have, you know, I'm not going to take her for the whole 2 weeks and say, oh, you know, so maybe like I would get her for 2 days, but continue the program after she comes. Like she could do an intro and meet
Right.
all of my, because we're on an A-B schedule. So I would need like 2 days in a row. And then following that intro, then the PE teacher could continue with the rowing with the lesson plans that are provided for the rest of the time. I don't know how other people feel about that.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of doing it. I think you still, one of the things that we need is to get the equipment into the space. And I think once you have it for a period of time and then move it to a different school. But to move it back and forth might be harder.
But you have the equipment to support one school, right?
We have equipment. Yeah, we have at
okay.
least 7 machines.
Oh, that's awesome.
So if we support you for a couple of days in Cooperstown and a couple of days at Sherburne, it might work, right? Sherburne, what are you guys thinking?
I like the idea. I would like to try it with our 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders.
Yeah, you want to jump in and say something? Or is that May?
Melanie.
Oh, Melanie, okay.
I think our voice for sounds.
You're muted, Melanie.
No, she wasn't muted.
Well, right, but her sound is not.
Yeah, we're not
She's
hearing
good
you. Well,
Yeah,
use
I
the
mean, I'd
chat
like to
feature
try it.
then.
We're kind of like Monica. We see our kids every other day,
Right.
but we do our units in 3-week blocks because we have to rotate spaces because we only have 2 gyms and 3 teachers. So we do 3-week units and then rotate to a new space. So, but we see our 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders every other day.
Well, it would be fantastic if you had, if you're able to do it with a variety of classes, then you have machines, you use them for that period of time, it's the 2 or 3 weeks, and everybody's doing rowing.
Yeah.
Then after that time frame, you can move them.
Yes, I had something else to say that would save with money. I know our maintenance staff is super supportive. I could just put in a request. So like if they're coming from Sherburne, Earlville to here, and they needed to get moved from here to the next school, I could just ask our maintenance to move them.
Perfect.
So I know that is a way too that would be helpful.
That would be. That actually helps quite a bit, right? Because what I do right now is I move everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I bought a truck for myself, but I can pack them in there really well, and that figured out. But that's actually a great way of working, and that came to the idea of like even eventually if we had a equipment library that could be like loaned out. Then it's a matter of just getting it to the different districts. And if like one district, when they're done, brings it to another district, that actually works really nicely, doesn't it? It's a great way to do it.
So Monica, then I'm also thinking leverage, and we don't have to answer this question now, but I know you're on the New York statewide PE teachers. I wonder if we can craft this in some way that we could present to the PE conference. Right.
Yes,
and
absolutely. Well, right now for the
partnership.
state conference is every year and it's the November, it's too late to do it there. However, what I was thinking that could possibly happen is at the state conference, which is November 16th through the 19th, there is like an exhibit area. And maybe you could set up in the exhibit area and do an exhibit in a booth one day. And Jess Sinicki at the central office is the one you'd reach out to. But we have a ton of zone conferences coming up. I mean, I don't know where you're looking to take this, but basically each zone is set up kind of like our sections with athletics. So section 3, we are Central North Zone. I just got off that meeting and they were like super excited that I was coming to this. And they're like, oh, see if she'd like to come to our conference, which is in March for our zone, our area. But all those conferences are coming up here for a lot of those zones.
I would love it. I think it's fantastic. I think it's interesting. There's some regions where there's rowing is happening a ton because people are aware of it, and like Saratoga, right? They have a lot of rowing there in Albany area, and as we get further out here, this is less happening. But some of it might be because again, it's the districts are further apart. It's harder to get equipment. But if we can create this network, sharing. And working together, it could really be great. And and a piece I didn't even mention, but there is an aspect with rowing. It's one of those sports where it's highly marketable to get you into college as well, and so there's a value there too. But it supports so many of the other sports, and it's not a takeaway; it's an addition. So yeah, that would be fantastic. I am going to be setting up November 13th a booth right here in Oneonta for the veterans, trying to build veterans rowing as well. But these are the kind of things, like, absolutely, that would be great.
Do you recommend starting it at like 3rd grade, or do you think that middle school, high school should start it?
I think that if you're looking at it for a school sports situation, it's middle school and above. The competitions in general and the boat and the equipment is really designed for older. But to start on a rowing machine of like anything in the younger grades is about exposure,
right?
About creating confidence, and again building up that lifelong kind of opportunity. I think you can start. The curriculum is available to do with younger kids, and I think you can see in some of the photos, there are younger kids doing it. The rowing machine is much more easy to do that with younger kids than the boat, perhaps, but I've even seen little kids get, in the big adult boats. It's just it's not a structured program at that level. I don't see a lot of schools offering that because of this cognitive demand and bringing the boat together. You don't just stop when you're rowing and that kind of thing. So they start at middle school and the body development, but certainly this rowing can be done in good way.
So, Melanie, correct me if I'm wrong, but we used to take our 5th graders as a culminating, we're leaving our building and going to middle school, up north somewhere to do biking, not biking.
Oh, yeah.
And we never taught biking. So we never didn't know how to ride. So it was kind of wonky. But the place we went to changed the curriculum, and it no longer is geared for 5th graders. It was geared for middle school, so we weren't allowed to go anymore. That's right. But if we started something like this and we built on it year after year, could we come out to your area, like to a club, like and do a field trip where we can get on the water? Because we don't. There's no way that we can get on water. I think we don't. We live near the Schneider River. I don't know. I mean, there's the Schneider Lake, but I don't know.
Yeah, there's no program there.
There's no program or anything. Right. But if we, because we used to do
kayaking. So the one thing about rowing, different than kayaking, is that you can kayak like on the Susquehanna. You cannot row on it. It's too shallow at places. It's too windy. The equipment is more easily damaged. But we have some bulletproof equipment too. It's stronger. They can handle. It's tougher. But yes, we do learn to row days and things like that. And this is the type of thing where we could set up like an event. Like it would be like a one-time come and see when the weather.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because we used to do that at the end of the school year. We'd go up to Boonville, but like I said, we did teach biking. We don't have bikes, so then we get there, and the last time we did it, I think we had 30 kids that didn't even know how to ride a bicycle. So they were like, well, we can't take them on the mountain bike trails. Like, we can't take them if they don't know how to ride a bike. So, long term, if we started a rowing unit, that could be something we add in. If we started at 3rd grade, they'll be doing it 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and then 5th grade, it's culminating, we get to go try it on the water.
Right. And then honestly, when you think about that, in 5th grade, they get to try it, and at the end of 5th grade, well, in 6th grade and 7th grade, this is when you can actually start to find competitions. We had Creighton, who you mentioned, started as a 6th grader. He started rowing, and he's racing several weekends. He just raced in the head of the Hudson race. He came in 3rd, out of a smaller field, but he got a medal. He's 3rd place medal. he was proud that he was able to like move up in his ranking kind of a thing, and he's racing.
So she's pointing out that they're not too far from Hamilton College, and they're there. So.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with that area. So
Wow, that's right. Well, and see, this is something we can like collaborate with, make it happen.
yeah.
You know, that's a fantastic, and they might even have indoor. Don't know it, but Hamilton and Colgate might have indoor rowing tanks. They actually have these tanks there. They have moving water, and you sit on a platform with the water running around, and you can practice running too. But that would be a great way.
I'm just thinking it'd be really cool because we teach swimming as well, like from kindergarten on. So like if we got them on the lake, like it kind of takes and culminates everything we've worked on since kindergarten, and then we send them on their way to.
Right. I think it's a great way to sort of build something that other programs are doing things too, but we can create something that works for us. And it is actually a unique idea because this idea of sharing equipment and kind of that I haven't heard of it before. I've heard of program like there's funding out there to set up a school on the West Coast, like to be a big program and you get 20 ergs and that type of thing. But how do you do that with smaller rural schools?
Right.
I like Monica's idea too.
Yeah, and then to bring the teams together to race on a day. I think what would be great is especially with the rowing machines, right? If you get them on the rowing machines, I wouldn't necessarily have them come from not having a lot of water experience. Be like, let's put you in boats now and race.
Right.
But the rowing machines, you could create a venue. Exactly. And I have, what I'm interested in seeing is having a community-wide event where we would have high school and middle school races, and you could even have younger races and smaller, you don't have to all race the same distance, that more for participation. You could, my daughters raced, I was living in Germany and part of the rowing club there. They had an event for children under, 5th grade and under, and they raced in 100-meter events. And they just, you just hopped on the rowing machine. You had kids doing it, and it was fantastic. It doesn't have to be, brutal. Especially at the younger age. We don't want to exert. We're not trying to train them in, their high-level physiological training. We're just going to get them moving and moving properly. But totally could do it, and kids love it. The truth is, from the minute they get on the rowing machine, the first thing they're doing is they want to start racing each other. So, but they love that aspect of it. They want to see how hard they can go, and the machine. And so let's take a look at the machine, maybe, so you can see kind of like it gives you, feedback of information. We could get heart rate monitors if you have kids' heart rate monitors, even the younger kids, 2nd through 5th grade. Particularly 5th graders, they can take that information and recognize what that means, right?
That's me.
Oh, okay. So we were going to go and have a rowing machine in the hallway. We're going to head out there and take a look at it.
So, I don't want to say that one thing I wanted to show is that it is very compactable, and storage wise can be, you can take a machine and you can have a whole bunch of them in a corner. You can actually you need like a closet space or something. Perhaps, but even this, I store them at school in the corner of a gym, and I needed about this much room, and I had 8 or 9 here and there. So you have a lot of flexibility, and I wanted to show how to put one together. The front component, and then the back rail. There it is. So, if you want to take a look at parts of it, here's the performance monitor. Got you turn it on, And actually, so when you're rowing, there's different information that comes up, the total time, it gives you stroke rating, which is like, like miles per hour kind of thing. And it gives you information in meters. So you can do a conversion that they can, to have to do some maybe conversion of like what's that in miles per hour. There's a wheel here that spins, it gives you distance. Machine is just pretty simple. So like if you want to try it, you've seen the machine, you have something similar right there. You just sit down on the seat. Adjusting these shoes, usually I set it up so that the strap is right across the front of your shoelaces, typically. So then you can go underneath and slip underneath, and you can put your feet on top. But these loosen up, and then you slip your feet underneath that. Take your foot out of the heel cup, and then slip underneath first, and then yeah. And then one of the key pieces is just like reach forward and I'm gonna set it down there, but you can reach forward and take the handle and just bring it to your body. There you go, and then you're just So here you're just using arms and body, and then you can have your legs. So one idea is to just try to like say to someone, try to reach my hand and tap my hand with the handle, and then pull it back and push your legs away. So you're rolling pretty well, and so we can get started on board pretty quickly, right? And then we can talk about maybe some different language that's used, the different parts of the stroke. It has names. So up here at the top, when you tap my hand up here, we call that the catch. And you get to the back of your body and you touch it just above your belly button there, and that's the finish. And then the language comes in, the motion that you're using, the power. Where are you working the hardest? Where do you feel like you're working? Which direction? That way, pulling back. Pulling back. So we call that the drive. What muscle are you using? What primary muscle are you using to bring the handle to your body? They are abs, key, very key. And your legs, right? But your abs, you have to have a strong core to make it happen. A lot of people go, they think, oh, it's your arms. No, your arms gonna just follow through, And you just row for about a minute and a half, right? And you can tell, like, you were going heavily exertion, but you feel it. You feel your heart rate, so it's a quick onboarding of doing this, and it's great because you can have groups doing it. Other people are talking about the terminology, and then you can once we get the basics ideas, then we can start setting up different types of workouts. Go for it. No, okay. Well, what I want to show you is somebody ever it's long an adaptive seat. So this is a seat that's set up for somebody who might have posture support. And you can, I just want to show you, but you notice it has this plastic clip that you can set on the rowing machine. You can either put the seat in front. I'm going to try in front, like it there, because it helps support the legs. So when I set this down over here, and if you want to see, it's not stable yet, but I have a plan. And I set it, and they just this weekend at the race that I'm going to, the Head of the Charles, they have competitions for people who cannot use their legs, right? And they're fixed seat. It's called, this is a fixed seat. And they're going to be racing in this event. And they'll be racing with partners who could be able-bodied. And it's pretty cool that they're going to have events like this and races and opportunities. So this is pretty quick to put on. The distance I put it would depend on the individual, right? And then I have straps, different level of need. So depending on how or what their life So I might put this further back for me, but, I could strap in here if I needed support that, and this goes in a boat as well. It has cracks that go right into a boat. If somebody needs additional support, the upper body. And I mean, in this case, I would need someone to help me get the handle, right? Thank you. Right, and then, and here, you know, I'm pulling to me, or I could use this to be loosened up a little, or even without it, and you could be rowing with the arms inside. Your legs are not being able. So this, for me, this is what I would be further back with my leg length. Someone may not have, they may have the amputated legs, right, or some situation. So then you have a seat that they could be connected to and have a stable platform without needing the legs to be pressing, right? That's, I don't know if you want to try it if, with this. Just let me put that down. And I've even seen, if you need to strap in or not, you don't have to. Right now. So you see how this kind of holds your shins a little bit, so it gives you a little support. You put a towel across it. So let's have you can just use your arms and body swing. There are classifications at the elite level, the Olympics, where this is called PR2. So it's a parallel classification because you can use your core and you can use your arms. It's called PR2. Individuals who can only use their arms are called PR1, and then if you can add your legs, then it's PR3. So you can see you can accommodate them. And this is something you can have. It's comfy. It's okay. Yeah. So a child, an adult, can participate and know that they're doing like they're really growing, and you can have everyone do it, right? It doesn't just have to be one alone. I mean, it would be. It just makes it really available. So I think I'm excited to make this offer too. And I have seen now that there's some other equipment out there. I haven't used it myself, where you can actually roll the chair right up and then just attach it so that you don't need to, even if you get coming on in and out of the wheelchair, so you don't need to do that. I don't have that per se, but I would look into it. I'm also very curious about the FES, which is the electrostimulation, where you have individuals who can be in there and then functionally hooked up with the electricity, and that engages the muscles. And they're doing research on that in Boston.
Wow, so
who are getting, they're, they see that all their health indicators are improving, their blood pressure, cholesterol, right?
Yeah,
because they're able
because they're actually, their muscles are moving.
right?
Yeah, wow.
And because this is not a weight-bearing sport, it's low impact, and so you don't have to carry your body weight, right? You this is where it's a great access point for, yeah. And once you go, you feel it. It's a fluid. It's meditative. The motion itself. You don't have to go at it to the point of like you're grinding your teeth. You can just go at the smooth meditative way. So, it's a demo, I guess. Yeah, you just want to stick around here, right? I know. Yeah. And what I've seen with when I brought it, it's like it, and all you do is show them once, and then the rest of it, you just walk around and just let them do it. They don't need you to nitpick at every little detail, because honestly, the way you were doing was great. And then what the way they learn is they see, well, can you make that number go down? Right, so you see a number here that's telling you how far you would cover 500 meters. Right, so if you want to go faster, make that number go down, and then they do the activities, right? And they can do it. Then if you have them do something for 30 seconds and they're going crazy, and they stay sustained, right? They can learn a lot. And then that's what's pretty cool too, is then you can start talking about, we talked about STEM and adding that component to it. Well, you can start talking about that, especially with the older kids. What meters are, what heart rate is, what's the correlation between your work and power, your heart rate? Can you be, can you hit a certain number? Can you be accurate? Can you be precise? How close to it can you get? How, and you can chart like what their data shows. They can all chart it and say like who was the most consistent. And that's fun too, because the kid who can go on the machine and just hold a steady number and be very consistent, steady, they're going to be good in the boat. And they can demonstrate that. And then another kid who can go really hard and maybe hit a few strokes at a really hard speed, fast speed, but then drop down. They can say, okay, well, what can I do if I go steady? And you start to teach that. You'll get the benefits of both, of teaching them how to pace themselves and then also understand what that means.
Which one shows us how far we've come?
The meters. And there's a different display. You can change the display. Oh, if you row right now, you see the force curve. So it's showing you the curve of your output. And as you're able to apply more force at different parts of the stroke, it'll get taller. Okay. And if you add your leg, oh, you can. That's needed. Yeah. So, but you can compare the force curves and then you apply the power. How to apply it. So if you apply more force at the very beginning, taller, and so you can use that to then also compare people's makeup. Look at the different force curves, look at what kind of power output achieved, and look at that. I think getting that understanding of how to read a graph, how to look at it, what does it mean? If
Since we don't really have a whole lot of, we can do a bulletin board of where we paddled or have them pick a lake.
exactly. Right. And then you can look at the meters that you covered, right? What's that distance that you covered? And that would be amazing in PE class to make that connection. Yeah. So I love it, and I think that teachers have, you have such creativity and ideas that we can kind of play with it and make it happen in try different things. Yeah. So you can get started. Just a few machines, and how big are your classes?
About 20.
20. Yeah. I mean, honestly, 5 machines. Maybe more would be better too. Great to get 10 machines, but if you only had 5, you could still break up into groups of 4. And it's possible we could get more machines working off of this model of like part-time, trading them off.
Right.
No school has to have that many machines. Right. And then once the kids decide we want to really have a rowing club longer, well, then we think it's families and can start fundraising for them. So I think we have a good idea stemming here.
Awesome. I think this is great. We're gonna have a good start here, and we'll get Monica on board and you on board, and yeah.
So, and again, like putting this machine away, so interestingly, so I see I have it connected right now, but I don't know how tall this is. I think it's tall. Yeah, you can store it upward. So there you go. You can actually put this and cones. I had them in the gym and I had cones behind it, and I was looking at it wobble. That's on there, I would take that off. But keep it off and keep it out of the way, then it doesn't take as much space as you think. Or you take them apart. And I had them for a few days, gym and filter or a month. And then taking it apart. Lifting this. There we have it done, right? And then carrying them. Now, these wheels. So this can be built into a space and cut. We move them right now on a weekly basis. We have the rowing machines in Cooperstown at the First Presbyterian Church is where we're using them with the kids. And we have like a weekly program already. And adults too, but I've always been looking for a place that we from a storage closet, take them downstairs from storage closet, carry them up, bring them out onto the porch, and then disassemble them and come back down again. But having the space too, where you're out of school, where then you could even offer something for adults too, be kind of cool. That would be cool too, if you brought in parents to do something. I don't know how that all works. Like the legal side of it, but even as we were doing, like to invite parents in to see it, if they try and teach their parents, that's a fun thing too, for the community. So yeah.
Awesome.
Great. Well, any other thoughts we wanna go through or go back in, or let's say
Maybe we should go back in just in case there's people on there that have questions or whatever. It's a little harder for me to kind of figure it out on the phone. Thanks for coming, Anita. Yeah,
That's a great idea.
we were just looking at your idea, Melanie.
Melanie.
We love that idea. Virtual pen pals.
We did something similar actually, so it's fun. We connected the adults and the youth, but we had a little event against the Albany with the Albany Rowing Club. So we opened up a Zoom meeting, and they were running their races, and then we did something, and we all dressed up for Halloween. I don't know if it was Halloween or anything, but we dressed up in costumes. But like that kind of added piece to it, so that once you've learned and then another school's doing it, that's fantastic. Right, to do it with others. Understanding also you could start to research rowing history a little in different places in the world where people are rowing, and just like with other sports. But there's a lot of things you could do with that. And in writing. There's books out there that are about rowing. Actually, there's a movie will be coming out next summer, I think, called Boys in the Boat. That's into like the rowing team that raced against the Nazi Germany in Nazi Germany. Yeah.
Monica, will you connect us with the PE zone and all the things that you were talking about earlier?
Yeah, I already sent you an email.
Oh, beautiful. So efficient. Yeah.
And just so you know, I'm the incoming president. I'm co-president with another PE teacher from Syracuse for the Central North Zone. So I know our conference will be in March.
Fantastic. All right. And then, so from my side, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to convince the board, which I don't think it's going to take a lot of convincing, to bring on Andrea as a consultant of some sort, and then work out some kind of contract with you guys to bring her into your district. And I think we'll want to make sure that administrative support is there and all that kind of stuff, and somehow get it out there that this is happening. And then hopefully we can bring in other districts once they see this. I think I'm gonna really put some pressure on Springfield to see if they can do third.
That would be great, yeah. And I feel like the rowing club, Otsego Area Rowing, would be very supportive too. And I think you've got people within that group they're highly motivated to find more rowing machines.
Yes.
And even among them, different people have rowing machines, so even to loan them for a period of time. But to create this opportunity that we have a bank of machines,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's something you can do and even fundraise for as well, like either it's grant writing or host events. Actually, Concept 2 does they have some sort of fundraising opportunities where I think they've done it before, they'll give a rowing machine to a nonprofit. One time, and then you can do like raffles for people. So then it's a fundraising opportunity to get more money and buy more machines, and then somebody buys, buys the machine. But they So there's things like that out there. So these are looking. A rowing machine cost, or in general, like how to run a program. So the rowing machines are expensive. Like a brand new machine that I just showed you there is about $900 or $1,000. You can find them on the youth market for $700 or refurbished, that kind of thing. But they're not cheap. But there's ways to find them. After certain races, they're discounted. So a brand new machine could be discounted because like that event that I told you that is in Boston called Crash B. They bring 50 to 100 machines, and then they're being used, and so then they sell them all. So there are things like that. There's ways that you can get machines that way.
I don't think I can.
What's that? Get a machine that way?
Okay, so now we're government agency, so we have to go competitive bid.
Oh,
We sure do. We haven't gotten any equipment this year. We got nothing.
But one of the, if we could come up with the money, I don't know how we would, but we could work out a contract where you provide the machines and then we pay you the money to buy it,
Right.
to discount it or
Right.
whatever. Right? So
right. I mean, if
there are ways.
right, and if the rowing club has a way of we want to also have, we have our machines, and it's not something we can give up the whole time because we try to operate programs too. But if it's a matter of getting some extra machines or trying to set that up, I mean, we've got to look at it creatively. Also, so in Washington, the state of Washington, there's an organization called the George Pocock Foundation. They right now are funding a lot of learn to row programs to expand the youth, and they're doing. They have a whole erg ed curriculum. They have like a $20,000 grant where they supply machines. The school district has to put up some money toward it too, like $5,000 or something from the school district, and then the rest of it is coming out of this grant. But that's West Coast, and I haven't figured out. I'm like, how do we do that? Other places, and particularly that's for like a large district, like these big school districts. And I thought, well, how do you do that with a small program? So the idea that if we can have machines that we can then, if you're talking about 10 machines, yeah, $10,000. $10,000 might sound like a lot of money to one school, but you can get grant money for that. And I can think about some ways to do that. I mean, I don't know if. We'll have to look and see.
Yeah.
And
the whole reason we exist is for that cost effectiveness. So we buy it and we send it out.
I mean, Lowe's paid for when I was at Charlotte Valley. Lowe's gave us a $5,000 to $10,000 grant to buy the methamphetamine materials. Yep. And then the school district put more money in, so they have like a whole bunch of these methamphetamine. Lowe's, I wrote a grant to Lowe's. We got from that. So even a $5,000 grant to get 5 machines, and then build off of that gets you started. So I think we can use.
I'm with you.
I'm
in.
Yeah, $10,000 is nothing. That's a drop in the bucket. And with another idea I have is with my veterans program, because I did just get a $20,000 grant for veterans program to start veterans running, and I'd be able to get some more missions on that too.
You think of how BOCES could be closer? Think of that. Like the arts and ed kind of an idea, like the BOCES has a COSER service, right? Yeah. So if you can. School districts can share cost of things, right? They come together and then they get feedback on it.
How many school districts do you have to have?
That I don't know, but I can try to ask.
Because if you have 2 or 3 that are wanting to do it.
I think it's an ongoing kind of thing. Like I think of arts and ed, right? And that's every year.
I don't know. But we
can measure and that's how you go.
We can, at least in the decent levels,
we can get this started now. We don't have to wait for money to come in to buy machines. We have the rowing club. We can do that. We can set it up so that if we're talking about a couple of schools and we want to devote it for a certain time frame of 3 weeks and then switch to another school, I think we can get that done. So.
Yeah, I
And
think so
you
as
would
well.
talk about like Cooperstown has 2 ERGs already, so maybe it's a matter of like kind of piecing it together.
So timeline for me, my next board meeting would be November, I believe it's the 17th, right around that time period. So the board would need to approve money. Then the actual funding might take somewhat of time because it has to go through all those little things. But once the board approves, the money is pretty much there, so we can get moving on sending it out to the different school districts or whatever.
Melanie, do you know if we have an erg machine in our fitness room?
So really, thinking about it from the perspective of like, you could really get started with 5, right? You just need 3 more each. And that is doable. I know, for example, it's doable. And I think we can get started. One thing you want to think about is when do you think this fits into your curriculums, right? Time-wise, winter time, training time is like when, you see the erg races and stuff. But you don't have to start it then. If you want to think about having this be toward the end of the year where you can culminate toward the end to get out in the water, maybe that's when you do it, right? And you could bring in you could be watching some erg races. They happen in February and March for the first time, right? You can see see what they are, or there's resources where there's tasks for them and stuff. But thinking about the timing of it is part of it too. Do you want to do it so that you have the drawing on the machines, and then at the end of it, before it's all so fresh in your heads, then you go on the water? Then that's like at the end of it. If it doesn't matter, it may need to.
And from our perspective, we want to leverage it for as much as we can. So if you did this whole thing and we have a 2-time Olympian coming to our school, and we do a press release, and want to make the teacher center to make this happen.
Yeah, I'm open to any time of the year. I don't think that we'd be able to get our kids out in the water this year. So,
okay, right.
We have to.
But down the road,
Down the road, I think we could do it where we culminate and go in the water. It might be better to do it late in the school year. But at this point, I'm open to any 3 weeks or 2 weeks, whatever time frame works for everybody.
And Monica, do you have a time frame? Do you think there's a certain time of year would be like to get started where you could see this fit?
Did you guys just see what I wrote in the chat? I think everyone is getting tired. It's getting harder to hear you all.
Oh no!
I know, we are getting tired.
I'm like, I can't turn my volume up any higher. So, yeah, I would need to look at our calendar, and obviously if there is a cost, the sooner we can put that in, for approval. And for us, I really love the idea of, time-wise, when I was thinking about this, I would really love the idea for us to culminate with time with maybe our 11th and 12th graders, or talk to you more about what age you think would be appropriate to bring them over to the rowing club, the sailing club, and even for them to go, like, I'm sure there's so many students who've never been there, and to get that exposure and to know, that it's there, these opportunities exist there right before summer begins, because I know there's a lot that does happen over the summer, right?
Yes, there are. Yeah, there's opportunities over the summer. And actually, one of the things I talked to the owner of the property that we're on, they share responsibility with the sailing club. There's a kayak vendor, and there's rowing, and to bring the kids out there. I thought the same thing, like, how many people have actually seen what a sailboat is, like other than from a distance, right? Do they actually stand on one or see what it looks like close up?
especially if you're if you're a disabled population. I don't know how many people have actually ever stepped foot on, right, or rolled onto a sailboat. And similarly with rowing, it's just the opportunity just to come up and close and personal, and then maybe get a chance to sit in a boat, or so that we've been talking about doing and creating an open house. But that would be great. It would be great to start kids off in the middle school age too, because they're still seeking like their sports and stuff, and opening them up to a longer possibility.
Work out something with Colgate.
So
Yeah.
for me, I would say the spring. I think like March, April, I think of March as
That would be great. It's a great time.
March, April.
May.
That would be perfect. And I think that would work really well, because the machines that we have would be less of a drain. Like most of the rowing, like people will start shifting back onto the water. So the ergs will be less, they'll be available. Yeah. Right. And there's a high motivation to make it happen in Cooperstown, by the way.
And Erin, I know there is. So that's why I was like, oh, I need to get on this, because I've heard my students talking about it. So it's not coming from parents. It's actually coming from my students. So the other thing I would just say is, Erin, do you think you can create like a Google spreadsheet and like the schools that are interested, and then have a timeline, and we could sign up for when, and then we can see who's going next. So if it does come to like, if we have it for 3 weeks in April, and then it's going to Sherburne or wherever next.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And by the way, with Colgate, so I do know the head coach at Colgate.
Okay.
So I will talk to him about that too. And the Hamilton, I don't know him personally, the Hamilton coach, but I met him not that long ago. And I would think that they would be open to some public service type of thing. Could be pretty interesting. Depending on their time of year and time frame, I think the summer is wide open for them. But let's see.
Okay.
Right, and they have a lot of rowing machines. So
Just so too, SU, I have an upcoming event for our SAC, which is Student Athlete Advisory Committee. And we actually have a rower from SU that is meeting with our SAC committee, along with a couple other SU athletes. But Mark Trumbo is the one who, so even like if it comes to like, you want to have an SU athlete like zoom in to one of our sessions as well, I think that is available. And Mark's been really great about I've seen a lot of rowers talk at Syracuse. They seem to be very willing to talk.
excellent. Wow. So what is that? The SU, like they're coming to?
Yeah, it's Student Athlete Advisory Committee. Mark Trumbo is one of the assistant athletic directors, and he's in charge of the SU SAC.
And they speak to your students, your.
So they're speaking, we are going to be at the Dome in November for football championships, and they're speaking to our Section 3 SAC committee.
Okay, but not your students, not your actual high school.
No, not yet, but when I make,
Right.
She's gonna make it happen.
Yeah.
That's great.
That'd be
Wow,
cool.
this is great. I think
Thank
we've
you,
got
yeah.
some great starts here, and this is exciting.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's highly
what this is
motivated,
supposed to
I
be
think, to
about,
make it
right?
happen
Getting
in all the
energy.
places. And I do believe that we have a lot of people at the Otsego area rowing that would be very supportive as well. Heavily volunteer board there, and rowing club in general. But so wonderful. Thank you.
Awesome. This is great. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Very much appreciate it.
All right.
This is
Well,
exciting.
have a good evening, everybody.
You too. Thank you so much.
And wish me luck this weekend.
Yeah.
I'm racing
Yes, good luck.
2 races on Saturday, 2 3-mile races. So,
Nice.
Oh, before we go, we have to find out about the uniform you're wearing.
oh yeah, well, this is a jacket that I bought. This is the U.S. rowing emblem.
Ah.
So this is the team jacket. It isn't what I was wearing at the Olympics, but it's like a tradition in rowing to have these blazers, and so this is the. So different clubs have different blazers. It's actually coming from England. And there's some clubs that have some really funky blazers, like pink ones and striped
neat.
ones, and yeah. But so I have this, and I'll be wearing this in Boston. I'm going to be handing out some medals to some teams, so I'll have my fancy jacket with me.
Very cool. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Good night,
Bye.
everybody. Andrea, look forward to working with you.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you for
Bye.
coming.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.